Hello everyone. In this tutorial, we'll talk about using the brush tool and the pencil tool. Brush tool and pencil tool work the same way. Everything else remains the same. The only difference is that uh, the brush tool is a bit more concrete. In a way, it's a bit more harder than the pencil tool. So let's see. I take the brush tool and it works like this. For the same stroke and for everything for the same settings. Uh, I take so this is 20. um, this is how the pencil tool works. Everything else remains the same. So going back to the brush tool, there are these settings. You can increase the size of the brush, you can increase the hardness of the brush. Okay, so let's say if you increase the hardness of the brush, it's the same brush, you'll see that it has become less diffused and more well defined, more concrete. Then the other options, flow. Flow actually defines the let's say the flow of color in your brush. I reduce the flow, everything else remains the same, and you will see that that the edges and even the texture, it's more broken down. It's you know there's not as much color coming out in the brush as there was when the flow was 100. Okay, when I reduce the flow to 3, this is what happens. Okay, now there are other options like opacity. You can reduce the opacity, and it becomes and your brush strokes become more transparent. Okay, now for more options, let's open a new file, and here let's click here, and then you can select different kind of brushes. You can vary the hardness and the thickness and so on. So here I didn't get anything. Let's make it a bit thicker, try a different brush, and the flow is actually so less that we're not able to see anything. Let's increase the flow and use the brush. Okay, here. Uh, now you can find different kind of brushes. So you can select some brushes, let's say special effect brush, and I append the already existing color palette brush palette, and then I select, let's say, the butterfly special effect, and this is what I get. Okay, I can select any other effect. So for example, I can select the leaf effect, and I can change the color to, let's say, green. And see here, because the opacity is 36, so my leaves are coming out a bit transparent. Now I increase the opacity and I get a stronger color. Then there's another option or another panel to kind of define your brushes. So it says close other panels in the talk. I click it and I close all the other panels, and then I go and click on it again, and this is the panel I get. Now this one lets me vary different things. So for example, texture, uh, options for the brush, and so on. Color dynamics, transfer, noise, wet edges. So for example, let's say I want uh, wet edges for my brush, and I want my brush to let's say have a different kind of texture. I want to change the angle a bit, you know I want to change the roundness. Let's say I want to make 50%, and the spacing increases so that the leaves are kind of far off, and see what's happening here. Okay, now I can select some other brush. Okay, now if I reduce the spacing, everything will come close to each other. Okay, so uh, that's pretty much it. You can also scroll down through this panel and see different options you have to work with brushes, pencils. Click here, as I said earlier, work the same way, and you shouldn't have any problem in working with pencils once you understand how the brushes work. So that's it today for the brush. I hope this helps. Thank you and have a good day.